I walked into Peking University's graduation ceremony, thinking it would be just another milestone, until I ran into a familiar face from childhood. He blinked at me like he'd seen a ghost. Same age, same hometown, yet somehow he was only a second-year student, and I was already graduating. "Wait," he said, baffled. "Didn't your goddess, Christiana, make you repeat a year so you two could get into the same university? She's been waiting for you for 2 years." Christiana, back then, she was the center of my world. Our families had practically raised us to be childhood fiancés. And the night before the most important exam of my life, she called me crying, saying she was in trouble. I rushed over, only to discover she was in a bar with a senior who had once called me his little brother. That night, they spiked my drink. I missed the exam. She didn't. She got into the university that same senior attended. Later, she told me long distance wouldn't work, unless I repeat a year, raised my score, and followed her. But by then, something inside me had snapped. So I took the special admission offer from Peking University and never looked back. My old friend kept talking, saying Christiana had dropped out for a while, telling me she still had feelings for me, that if I humbled myself and begged, she wouldn't look down on me. I only smiled. At that point, I'd already secured a guaranteed spot for graduate school, studying under a world-class advisor. I was moving forward. She was standing still. And really, who was looking down on whom? Jonathan, my childhood friend, practically choked when he heard the full story. He stared at me, wide-eyed, trying to wrap his head around how the boy he once knew had suddenly leapt ahead of everyone. But then anger took over. He grabbed my arm, veins standing out, his voice rising above the ceremony chatter. To him, Christiana wasn't just a girl. She was a fantasy, a symbol, a pedestal he'd never reach. And he couldn't understand how she meant so little to me now. To me, losing her wasn't tragedy. It was the beginning of everything else I gained. Christiana had always played the role of the perfect campus beauty. Dazzling looks, wealthy background, and a carefully crafted image that made everyone want to protect her. But whenever I thought of her, it wasn't love I felt, just a quiet, lingering disgust. On the night I missed the exam, my parents' business was also collapsing. And while my father spoke to Christiana's father, the same man whose company we had once helped keep afloat, I heard the truth behind the polite words. Gratitude when times were hard. Distance when fortunes turned. Her father spoke warmly at first, full of promises and sympathy, then shifted, smoothly, casually. Suddenly my failure made me unworthy. Suddenly Christiana deserved better options. Suddenly the childhood engagement he once begged for was just a memory he didn't need anymore. My father took the blame on himself, thinking he'd drag me down. But I had already understood. It wasn't about an exam. It was about convenience, about status, about timing. So I took the phone myself and told him something he didn't expect, that his daughter and her new senior seemed like a perfect match. Similar backgrounds, similar lifestyle, a polite blessing disguised as a quiet goodbye. He laughed awkwardly, trying to take control again, insisting she was still too young to understand what kind of man she should marry. Funny, because when he needed us, he called me son. Now that he didn't, I was just Stephen. Childhood sweethearts sound romantic in stories, but in real life, they end the moment one side decides they can do better. Overseas connections, international resources, that was the real perfect match Uncle Tang wanted for his daughter. But I still thanked him politely, because that's the kind of son my parents raised. After that call, his promises about helping our family vanished like smoke. I accepted Peking University's special admission, and my parents rebuilt their business from the ground up. And just like that, the Tang family became a chapter we quietly tore out of our lives. Stephen, hey, you're drifting off again. Jonathan's voice pulled me back, and I looked at him calmly. Christiana is an only child, he said, his tone half hopeful, half calculating. Her family's business is soaring. If you married her, all of that could be yours. Don't you regret studying so far away from her? I almost laughed. Could Christiana get me a graduate recommendation under a world-famous professor? Could she open doors to capital city business networks? Could she connect me with international research institutes? No, not even close. I shot Jonathan a look, sharp enough to slice through his fantasy. A pretty face with no degree. What exactly was I supposed to regret losing? Self-pity, I'd learned, was the cheapest form of love. So I walked toward the center of the graduation photo, my steps steady, my head high. Laughter echoed around me, and when I finally raised my hand in my family's signature peace sign pose, Jonathan just stood there, frozen, as if the weight of his own illusions had pinned him to the floor. Leaving my past behind wasn't a decision I struggled with. It was a clean break, a door firmly shut, without Christiana's shadow trailing behind me. I finally had the space to pour myself into research. My mentor noticed. He pushed me forward, gave me opportunities I'd never dared to dream of. Gold medals followed, one after another. Advancement came early. Momentum turned into a lifestyle. Meanwhile, my parents rebuilt their business with the kind of fire only desperation can spark. And before long, they'd risen even higher than before. Back home, people still whispered that I was the boy who repeated a year because of heartbreak. They had no idea the train of my life had long since raced ahead to a different station. Christiana's face, once so vivid in my memory, had faded like an old photograph left in the sun. When I drove back to our villa one weekend, I found my mother cooking, personally, which meant something big had happened. Inside, my father and my mentor sat shoulder to shoulder, red-faced and laughing like old war comrades. "Mom, why didn't you let the maid handle the food?" She waved a hand proudly. "Your mentor brought his daughter. I wanted her to try my cooking." And behind me stood a girl, tall, elegant, soft-spoken. Lillian, my mentor's younger daughter. She smiled, shy and gentle, nothing like the lively girl her father always described. Then my mother called out, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, "Son, let my daughter-in-law help you carry the dishes." Lillian's face turned so red, I thought she might faint. I sighed and took the tray instead. "My mom's just like that," I told her. "She loves matchmaking." Lillian followed me, her voice barely above a whisper when she leaned a little closer. "What if I don't mind being that?" I froze, just for a second. By the time I reacted, she was already neatly arranging the plates on the table. And that's when it hit me. Uncle Tang had taught me an unforgettable lesson. Always choose the best option, not the one that merely feels familiar. A childhood engagement once almost caged my entire life. Back then, I would have crossed fire for Christiana, and sometimes I practically did. When she cried, I stormed into the teacher's office demanding answers. When she struggled in class, I stayed up late tutoring her for free. Teachers adored us. Perfect couple, they'd say. Just don't make Christiana cry. With 20,000 days in a lifetime, I really thought most of mine would revolve around her, until Phineas stepped into the picture and rewrote the script. A senior who'd lived abroad, fluent in English, effortlessly charming. The kind of upperclassman who always had a story ready. I didn't think much of him at first. Boys who admired Christiana were like passing clouds. He seemed like just another one. But the turning point came at a citywide business banquet. The parents toasted at one table. Their children, including Christiana, Phineas, and me, sat at another. The girls urged him to share something about his life overseas. He told a story about a long-distance breakup, and then raised his glass toward me. "No offense, Stephen. With your grades, you'll easily get into the same university as Christiana. No long distance for you two." Everyone turned to us. Christiana's smile didn't reach her eyes. "It's fine," I said gently, taking her hand. "Even if we're in different schools, we'll be in the same city. I'll go wherever she goes." "You two are adorable," Phineas said, applauding. "But still, same university is safer." The others laughed. No one took it seriously, except Christiana. That night she pulled me aside, her voice trembling. "Stephen, I don't want long distance. Even in the same city, it'll feel far." "Don't worry," I told her. "I'll get my license over the break. Distance won't matter." I even pulled up a list of universities she liked, all 10 or 15 minutes from each other. She leaned against me, calming down. Maybe she believed me, or maybe the doubt had already taken root. After that, Phineas only needed gentle nudges, offhand comments, thoughtful reminders, comparisons disguised as compliments. He never attacked me directly. He didn't have to. His words were like drops of water, tiny, harmless until they wore away stone. And slowly, quietly, Christiana began to unravel, taking up my time, interrupting my studies, pulling me off course. That was the beginning of the end. At the 100-day pledge ceremony, I stood on stage beside the girl ranked second in our grade, delivering the kind of speech teachers replay for inspiration. Backstage, she politely asked me about a question she couldn't solve. We talked for barely a minute, but that single minute was exactly what Christiana walked in on. She froze. No confrontation, no questions, just a sharp turn and a disappearing figure. I chased her all the way to the school gate, but she'd already slipped into her family's car. Left with no other choice, I headed straight to her house. Weren't we supposed to go to the snack street today? I asked. Christiana's laugh was thin, sharp. Oh, right, but you got company now, don't you? I blinked at her, confused. She held up her phone. Stephen, I called. You didn't answer. Turns out you were backstage flirting with another girl. Her stare hardened. What's wrong? Don't like pretty girls anymore? Going for the other type now? I felt my jaw tighten. What nonsense are you talking about? She's just a classmate. We were talking about schoolwork, and you shouldn't insult people like that. Oh, look at you, defending her. Then she swept every bottle on her dressing table to the floor, the sound of shattering glass echoing through the room. I grabbed her shoulders gently. Christiana, you're overthinking. There's no one else. Just you. She pushed me away as if the word burned. Then prove it. Tell that girl you don't like her. No. Tell her you hate her. Tell her never to speak to you again. I stared at her, stunned. How is that fair? She hasn't done anything. We're classmates. Her voice cracked into a scream. Get out. That became the first weekend we didn't see each other. At school, I tried to talk to her again and again, 10 times, maybe more. She ignored me every single time. We'd fought before, sure, but never like this. I told myself, the exam's coming, she'll calm down. She always needs me to review with her. I didn't know that night would change everything. That night, the night before the college entrance exam, she called. Her voice trembled through the phone. She said she needed me, begged me to come, said she was at a bar, Phineas's family's bar. My heart dropped. Yesterday, Phineas had posted that he wanted to drink with someone. Tonight, Christiana was suddenly at his place. I rushed over, stopping outside the door, calling her again. She didn't pick up. She only sent 2 words, inside, and so I went in. There she was, in a room filled with music and smoke, sitting with light makeup and a face that didn't belong in a place like this. Her expression tightened when she saw me. Let's go, I said. The exam's tomorrow. If you want to drink, we'll celebrate after. I'll drink with you then. She didn't even turn her head. Phineas leaned back, smiling like he owned the room. Come on, Stephen. Don't tell me you're still studying tonight. People around us looked over, amused. Christiana let out a cold laugh. What, Stephen? You scared of Phineas now? Since when did you become such a coward? I sat down slowly. She sat beside Phineas, deliberately leaving the space beside me empty. If someone had walked in, they would have thought they were a couple. I called you here for a dare, she said. Who told you to actually come? My anger rose like a wave. Christiana, are you out of your mind? Tomorrow is the exam. Look around. Do you see anyone else here take it besides us? She pressed her lips together, then pushed a glass toward me. Drink this, she said, softly, and we'll go back to before. I'll take the exam tomorrow, like a good girl. Otherwise, I'm not going. I looked at her for a long time and realized she meant every word. So I lifted the glass and drank. The dizziness hit instantly, blurring the edges of everything. Voices faded in and out like a broken recording. Christiana and Phineas laughed, chatted, existed as if I wasn't even there. By the time the world steadied again, I was lying on a bed. Morning had already arrived. The exam had come and gone. And with it, so had the life I thought I was building. Rumors spread faster than truth ever could. People whispered that I cracked under pressure, drowned my nerves in alcohol, and called my girlfriend to pick me up. Teachers shook their heads with pity. Classmates said Christiana must have been blind to stay with someone who looked disciplined but was rotten inside. My parents didn't even ask what really happened. They were drowning in their own crisis. And the Tang family, the people we once called our lifeline, turned their backs just as easily as their daughter did. Christiana offered an ultimatum. Repeat the year. Apply to the same university she'd gotten into. Start over. I answered without a single word. We packed up, erased our traces in Haishur, moved the entire family to the capital. But Jonathan, humiliated by how sharply I had rejected him earlier, carried my story back home like wildfire. My phone exploded with calls. I ignored every single one. I changed my number. For a moment, I thought peace had finally found me. Then Christiana appeared. The afternoon after my senior showed me the research lab. She blocked me at the door. 2 years in the business world had carved her into someone sharper. Fitted blazer, short skirt, eyes cold enough to slice through walls. But her clenched fists, they trembled. "How long do you plan to hide from me?" she demanded. Her eyes glistened, her voice unsteady. I felt tired to my bones. "Move," I said quietly. She stared at me like she couldn't understand the sound of her own name. "Stephen, do you even know what you're saying?" She stepped toward me, expecting me to catch her like I always had. But I stepped back. She stumbled, falling to the ground, her knees scraping the floor as she got back up. "Stephen, how can you treat me like this?" My patience thinned to a thread. I tugged lightly at my collar and spoke with a calmness that shocked even me. "Oh, and how exactly did I wrong you?" That single sentence shattered whatever strength she had left. Her voice cracked. "We promised we'd never do long distance. Am I that disgusting to you now? You didn't even say goodbye. You swore you'd never leave me." Students walking by slowed, turning their heads. Anyone else might have felt sympathy, but I felt nothing. She pulled me aside, asking to talk somewhere private, but I had nothing to hide. "Stephen, say something. Were you just playing with my feelings this whole time?" In that moment, it felt like she wanted to wipe away every effort, every sacrifice I'd made for her, like a single tear could rewrite the truth. Her family looked down on mine, yet she acted as if she was the injured one. Even after everything fell apart, they dressed up their betrayal with pretty excuses. And Christiana, she stood there soaking in Phineas's attention, wanting comfort from both sides. Watching her mascara smudge as she cried didn't make my heart ache. It just made me realize how tired I was. That night, when I sat on the hotel bed, hurt and confused, who stood up for me? Which of her promises had ever actually meant anything? Years later, the answer was finally clear. Christiana had never been the person I believed she was. So as I walked past her now, she suddenly grabbed my hand, like a reflex born from panic. "Miss Tang," I said quietly but firmly, "please stop harassing me." She froze. Her perfectly controlled composure wavered. "To you," she whispered, voice trembling, "am I really just someone who doesn't matter anymore?" Her nails scraped my skin, leaving a thin red mark. "You should apologize," she said. "You don't deserve one," I replied. I couldn't risk a struggle. My hands were my livelihood. That was when my senior, helpless at the sidelines, called for Lillian. Lillian came running, a little out of breath, strands of hair sticking to her forehead. She took one look at Christiana, then stepped close to me with the calm of someone who already knew where she stood. "Stephen," she said with a gentle smile, "my father's top disciple just arrived. He's waiting at our house. I'm supposed to take you there." Without glancing at Christiana again, she slipped her hand naturally into mine. "Perfect," I said. "We still have time to buy a gift, right?" "No rush," she answered. "We can stop by the mall. And your mom's birthday is next week. Tell me what she likes. I'll help you choose something." Lillian was tall, confident, radiant in her own quiet way. Standing beside her, Christiana's carefully chosen outfit suddenly made her look older, tired even. She stumbled, twisting her ankle, but forced herself to stay silent, too proud to show pain. Lillian finally looked back at her, soft but sharp. "Excuse me, you're not a student here, right? What exactly do you want with my boyfriend?" The word boyfriend hit Christiana like a slap. She mouthed it silently, as if trying to make sense of it. I looked at her, pale, shaken, but felt nothing. Not triumph, not revenge, just emptiness. If nothing unexpected happened, I realized I would never say her name again. When you stop caring, there's no need for retribution. And Lillian, she truly valued the title of girlfriend. She was smart, capable, someone who matched my world, and walked beside me instead of holding me back. Our parents, our mentors, they saw what we hadn't dared to admit. We were already falling for each other. Christiana reached for me again. "Stephen, you're doing this on purpose. You're trying to hurt me because of what happened back then." Before she could touch me, Lillian slapped her hand away. Not gently, not politely. "I swear," Lillian said, her voice ice cold, "if you make one more scene, I'll hit you right here in front of everyone. Can't you see he wants nothing to do with you?" Christiana flinched. Her voice cracked. "Stephen, I shouldn't have fought with you. Please don't be angry. Just give me a minute. Let's talk, just us." "Why? Would I waste my time on someone who has nothing to do with me?" I said. I wasn't the boy from 2 years ago. I took Lillian's hand. "I'll drive," I told her. Bought the car my freshman year. No one's ever sat in the passenger seat. As we walked down the long path from the lab, hand in hand, our steps fell into an easy rhythm. The road was straight, but it took more than 10 minutes to reach the gate. When I finally glanced back, Christiana was still frozen in the same spot, a fading shadow against the distance. 2 points on a straight line, but for us, those points would never meet again. Later that night, slightly tipsy, I told Lillian to stay and help our mentor while I went to get the car. But as I reached the underground parking lot, Christiana was waiting, eyes unfocused, desperation written all over her face. The moment she saw me, she rushed forward, grabbing my arm. "Stephen, you owe me an answer. What did I do so wrong that you left without a word? You shut every door I could use to reach you." My exhaustion evaporated instantly. "What exactly do I owe you?" I said. "You said you'd buy a car to see me every day. Was that a lie? You got into Peking University and didn't even tell me. I waited for you to repeat the year, and you just left, and now you have a girlfriend?" Her voice splintered into raw panic. Back home, people would have lined up to defend her, but I wasn't that boy anymore. I opened my car door. She shoved me back. "One more year wouldn't have killed you," she cried. "You could have retaken the exam. Don't pretend it wasn't your family's failure that crushed your pride." She moved closer, voice shaking with anger. "If we got married, my family's company would have been yours. Why couldn't you let go of your stupid pride?" I laughed, quiet, bitter. "My pride? Don't pretend you didn't know something was wrong with that drink," I said, meeting her eyes without a flicker of warmth. "My father trained me to handle alcohol. One glass shouldn't have knocked me out. Let me guess, Phineas suggested it? Told you that if I missed one subject, I'd score, just close enough to end up at the same university as you?" My fist tightened. "I went to that bar because I was worried." I looked at her, feeling a calm I didn't recognize. "I went to that bar because I thought you were in danger," I said. "And you teamed up with another man to drug me. Did it ever occur to you what could have happened if he'd slipped something worse into that glass?" I had spent months juggling school and time with her, never once complaining, never once blaming her for slowing me down. I'd been her boyfriend. "So tell me, Christiana, what was Phineas?" When rumors spread through school, when teachers whispered and classmates speculated, where was her courage then? Why didn't she admit she was the one who called me that night? Why didn't she tell them she was the one drinking with another man? Where was all that pride she loved so much? Christiana trembled, words clattering out like she could barely hold them together. "And your family," she said. "It was my father who introduced you to your first major client. That's how you rebuilt your business. I didn't interrupt. She kept going. My father said your family wasn't at our level anymore, that you weren't good enough for me. He never planned to fund you. That promise was fake. He even contacted your clients behind the scenes and stole them. Her voice cracked. I wanted to ask him why, but that same day, I saw Phineas's post. You and that girl at the reunion, your head on her shoulder. What was I supposed to think? You went to the same university. She became your junior, and the two of you just kept getting closer. If you were me, could you forgive and forget? I crossed my arms, watching her with a cold clarity. You're not just selfish, you're foolish. I said, when I gave you sincere advice, you dismissed it. When someone whispered lies in your ear, you swallowed every word. My voice dropped, steady and final. We can't be lovers, Christiana. Only strangers heading in opposite directions. Her knees gave way, and she sank down, reaching for anything to hold on to. No, you misunderstood, she whispered, breath shaky. The drink couldn't have been tampered with. Her voice broke completely. It was Phineas, she confessed. He said it would help you relax. He told me the exam wasn't more important than our relationship. He said I should test you, see if you still cared. We were fighting, and I cared too much about saving face. I wanted people to see how devoted you were to me. She curled inward, trying to piece together her unraveling thoughts. I didn't want to lose you. My dad lied. Phineas lied. I didn't know what to believe. I stared at her with a hollow calm. Then why didn't you clear things up afterward? Why didn't you tell anyone the truth? Her silence was long and heavy. Finally, she whispered, My father forced me to intern at his company. He took my phone, made me work as his assistant. He said you insulted him on the phone. Phineas agreed with him. They showed me screenshots, said you'd added several girls. The accounts looked like yours. Her lips tightened into a bitter, fragile smile. I doubted it, but then you blocked me. And every time we argued, you always apologized first. I thought you'd come back this time, too. I waited, but you never did. She took a breath that scraped painfully out of her chest. I dropped out of school, threw myself into work. I blamed you for being heartless. But I kept missing you. Her words tumbled out in a rush. Last year, my dad tried to pair me with Phineas. Our family needed connections overseas. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no. I thought maybe it would make you angry. So I showed up beside him in public, trying to provoke you. But Stephen, I never loved him. I only ever loved you. To me, it sounded like a story she'd rehearsed too many times. Phineas had his own agenda. Christiana half resisted, half accepted, always leaving the door open. Once love is tainted by betrayal, revisiting it only brings exhaustion. She cried, lowering herself in a way that would have stunned anyone who knew her. But for me, there was no us left to mourn. One misstep had led to another until the entire path collapsed behind us. I didn't want to hear any more. I got into the car and rolled down the window. Don't look for me again, I said quietly. I love my girlfriend. She wouldn't hurt anyone, and I won't let anyone hurt her. Christiana panicked, chasing the moving car, desperation spilling from every word. You're not married yet. I still have a chance. I'll give up everything, my family, Phineas. Please, Stephen, anything you want, it's yours. I hit the brakes. Hope flashed across her face, painfully bright. You're forgiving me? I shook my head. No, I've been drinking. I can't drive. My chauffeur's on the way. A strange calm settled over me as I asked the one question that ended everything. The day your father kicked us when we were down, our families became enemies. So tell me, could you cut ties with him? With your family? For me? She froze. The question hollowed her out instantly. I'm not here to make you regret anything, I said softly. I don't need you to give up anyone for me. I'm happy now, truly, and your return only brings chaos. The driver arrived. I closed the door. Don't ever come back into my life, I said. As the car pulled away, I saw her shrinking in the rearview mirror, a silhouette running after a future that no longer included her. Her cry echoed to the cold garage. fading into the concrete walls. A month later, at an academic symposium, my former homeroom teacher told me Christiana had withdrawn from university. Phineas's bar chain had gone up in flames, all of them on the same night, causing massive financial damage. His family retaliated by swallowing a shipment of Tang family goods and refusing to pay, blaming it on a transport accident. The two families tore at each other for weeks before finally cutting ties. Christiana was suddenly promoted from assistant to vice president, expected to run the whole company overnight, but she wasn't ready, and the Tang Group's profits fell to historic lows. Her world had collapsed, while mine kept moving forward. The stock price kept sinking, and with every drop the tension around us grew heavier. Then Lillian showed me a message, anonymous, cold, and offered her $5 million to disappear from my life for 2 years. I didn't need a detective. The timing, the desperation, it had Christiana written all over it. But Lillian simply cursed, deleted it, and blocked the number like brushing away a fly. The next time Christiana appeared in my world was the day I received my doctorate. My mentor had brought me to another conference. Handshakes, business cards, polite smiles everywhere. Lillian and I walked in together, formally dressed, fingers intertwined, our relationship finally public. My mentor, beaming with pride, introduced me to everyone. He's my best student and my future son-in-law. Engagement's next month. Don't miss it. Warm congratulations poured in from every corner of the room, except one. In the shadows sat a woman dressed beautifully, but wrapped in a quiet, lonely stillness. Christiana, thinner than before, her once bright eyes dimmed, fixed on me like she was seeing a memory instead of a person. People spoke to her. She didn't seem to hear a single word. Lillian glanced over. She looks familiar. Do you know her? I tapped her nose lightly and laughed. No, never seen her. Let's go to my place tonight. My mom knitted you a scarf. Her eyes sparkled instantly. Really? I've been craving her cooking. After my speech, I looked back toward the corner. She was gone, vanished, like a dream that dissolved the moment you opened your eyes. In the Capitol, I ran into someone I never expected. Phineas. He invited me to dinner with his girlfriend. Loud colors, permed hair, and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I hadn't planned to go, but confidence changes a person. I wanted to hear what he had to say. 2 drinks in, he spoke. You won, Stephen. His girlfriend didn't understand Chinese, so he talked freely. Christiana would rather stay single forever than be with me. I took a calm sip. And that concerns me, how? He hesitated, studying me, unsure of the man I'd become. Then he said it, the thing that stopped me mid-breath. That night at the bar, there was something in the drink. For a moment, the table fell silent. His pride must have taken a beating to admit that. He scrubbed his palms together, stressed, the early signs of hair loss showing more than he probably realized. My time's valuable. I said quietly, yours too. What do you want? He poured me another glass like a waiter desperate for a tip. Our company's falling apart. Tariffs, debts, everything's collapsing. You have connections. Please help us. Then, in a moment that felt surreal, he actually dropped to his knees, slapped himself, apologized, admitting he'd wasted years chasing the wrong future, admitting I was the one who succeeded, admitting he'd been blind. I crossed my legs, watching him without emotion, dropped the theatrics. I said, I'm not buying it. When I left, he rushed to open my car door. This man who once looked down on me now bowing like a servant. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. But deep down, I already knew what I wanted. His plea was an opportunity. It was an opening. My family was ready to expand, and Phineas had practically handed me the keys. At home, my father was mid-argument on the phone, voice sharp. My son and your daughter have nothing to do with each other. I took the phone. Uncle Tang. I said coolly. There was a tremble on the other end. Stephen, Tang Group needs a lifeline. Even if you and Christiana weren't meant to be. She loved you for years. For her sake, help us. We'll repay you however you wish. She has no face left, I replied, voice calm as winter ice. A stunned pause. What did you say? One step led to another. Uncle Tang, this is on you. They thought my family was still easy to bend, still naive, still the same. They were wrong. You had the best cards, I said. You played them into the dirt. I can help you, but it'll be on my terms. And I did. 2 months later, we acquired 80% of Phineas's company. 6 months after that, the mighty Tang Group was bought out for a price that stung like fate's own hand. The Tang families sold their villa, moved to a cramped apartment. Christiana drifted to a new city, tried to rebuild from scraps. Phineas ended up working under our company, more obedient than anyone I'd ever met. And as for me, Lillian and I welcomed a child, and the rest of our lives unfolded quietly, peacefully, exactly the way we wanted.